So with camera stabilization getting better and better each and every day, one thing I've noticed is that it never can replicate or replace having a gimbal. Now, there are multiple gimbals in the marketplace. You have some that are, very big and bulky, and then you have others that are even carbon fiber that claim to be the lightest weight gimbals. Now, for run and gun shoots, I am interested in a gimbal, something that's going to be light, something that's going to be small and compact. That's really going to be all that I need for my mirrorless cameras, and something that is going to be affordable as well. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the latest technology from Zhiyun. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Eddie, aka Mr. Eddie Nunez. Today I'm going to be showing you a brand new product from Zhiyun. It is the Weebill 3E. This one specifically is the Cinepeer, and we're going to be doing an unboxing in this video, and we're also going to be taking this out in the field and sharing with you my overall first impressions while using this Zhiyun Weebill. So the first part that we're going to do in this video is go ahead and unbox it right here at my desk. And we're going to do that today live here with you all. And one thing I noticed right from the beginning when I received this is that the box itself, the packaging is very light, which makes me very excited because it's going to lead me to believe that the gimbal itself is also very light. So let's go ahead and take this out the packaging here. So once you take this gimbal out its box, you're greeted with the traditional foam case that most gimbals ship with. Let's go ahead and break this out. And then here is all that you need for this gimbal, all that it's included. You have, let's take out the smaller items first. So the smaller items here, you have a base plate. You have your tripod to sit your gimbal down. You have accessories such as an Allen key. You have USB-C cord and a USB cord. And then you have the gimbal itself. So taking a look at the gimbal itself, first impressions, it feels very small and compact, and it is also extremely light, which I'm excited about. Let's go ahead and install this tripod right at the bottom. There it is. There's the gimbal. So unboxing, pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool. It's very simplistic, which is what I love about gimbals. Right off the bat, I want to give this a plus one. We're gonna do a point system. This is very simplistic. When carrying a gimbal for run and gun shooting and the type of content that I create, I want to go ahead and just use something that's gonna be light. And I'm noticing here that it also has clips. Yep, it has a locking clips, so you can lock your gimbal in place, which is extremely cool, because then that means you don't have to break down your camera. Anyway, I'm talking a lot. So that's the very simple unboxing here. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead out in the field. Let me take you to the field and let's start utilizing this, and then I'll start giving you my overall review and first impressions of using this gimbal for the very first time. So let's go ahead out to the field. All right, so we made it to the field. We made it to my favorite destination to test any gear, my local state park. I come here often in my e-bike, and this is the exact reason why I want a small gimbal that I can use with my mirrorless camera. Today with me, I have my Sony a7 IV, and right here in this bag, I have all my other gear, such as drones, etc. But here is the Zhiyun Weebill, and let's go ahead and set it up, and let's go ahead and try it out here and get some test shots and talk about this in a real world scenario. I apologize for any noise. I'm at the park and it's windy, but anyway, let me not digress and let's get to this video. All right, so the first thing I want to do is go ahead and show you how to install your camera onto the Zhiyun Weebill. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take your camera. Today I'm shooting with the Sony a7 IV, and it also has my 16 to 35 G Master lens. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and mount my base plate to the camera. And I do have a cage as well on this camera. So the cage is going to add a little weight, which is going to be excellent for this test to go ahead and, you know, test out the performance. So here's the bottom plate, base plate mounted onto the Sony camera. And then the next thing we want to do is now set up the actual Weebill here. And what we're going to do is go ahead and mount the bottom tripod base to the bottom. What you're going to do is screw it into this 1/4 here. Okay, you do that. Now you have a good kind of base. You have a good base to put your tripod down. The next thing you want to do is that each of these axes here has a lock, which is actually a really cool feature. So there are 3 locks. So what you want to do is you want to open it up, lock it, open up this arm, lock it, and you want to keep this bottom one, the pan axis, you want to keep it locked as well. Now the next step is actually balancing your camera on the gimbal, which is the hardest part, but it is the most critical part of setting up a gimbal. You want to go ahead and mount this just like so, and then you want to go ahead and unlock one axis at a time just to ensure that it's balanced. So for example, here I mounted my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and just lock it. You probably can't see, but I'm just gonna go ahead and lock it right here. And then we're gonna unlock. We're gonna unlock, and as you can see, my camera drops, which means it's heavy. It's too forward heavy, too front heavy. So what you wanna do is you just wanna bring it back. You wanna bring it back until you have a nice balance. So I think I am balanced. No. So I'm sort of balanced right here. Try your best to get it at as close as possible. You're never gonna get it exactly as close. And also make sure that you have every accessory installed on your camera. Don't add things afterwards because that's going to affect the weight. So once you have it balanced, sort of, as you can see, it's balanced here, sort of facing forward, you wanna flip it the other way, and you wanna make sure that it can balance itself like this as well. So when it's not, you wanna go ahead and adjust this axis right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this up. I'm gonna loosen this up, and I am going to balance this one now. And you want it to stay evenly balanced, floating. So here, as you can see, it's too heavy this way. go ahead and go forward again. There you go. So now it's balanced this way. And then you want to go ahead and face it forward again and make sure that it's balanced. This is a perfectly balanced camera right here on the gimbal, which is excellent. Now you want to go ahead and lock. You want to go ahead and lock the axis right here again. So there you go, it's locked. And now what you want to do next is unlock this one right here. So there you go, we unlocked it. And as you can see, it's not balanced here. So we want to balance this now with this axis. And what you're going to do is just you're going to shift the weight to the left since it's rolling to the right. So I'm shifting the weight. There you go. Nice and easy. Now it's balanced there. And we're going to lock this. And then the last one you want to test is the pan. So the pan, as you can see, it's rolling on its own. And I'm on a flat surface, so it's not balanced. And all you're going to do is just shift this. Here you go. And to do a final test, you just make it go forward and you want it to stay. So you see how is it staying? That means that it's balanced. Once you balance all three axes, we're going to go ahead and power on the gimbal. And what we're going to do after powering it on is we're just going to do a motor test. A motor test and a motor calibration. So we're going to go to menu. We're going to select motor. We're going to select auto. And it's going to do an auto tune calibration of the motor. This takes about a second. And after we are done with the auto calibration, we're ready to use this camera, ready to film. And I'm actually going to go ahead and grab it and take it for a quick, we're going to take it for a quick demonstration around here and capture some B-roll. There you go. I got the blue check mark. That means we're good to go. And now there's the gimbal all set up. And right now I am in pan and follow mode. So that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to pan and follow. And first impressions, the motors are strong because it's carrying this big camera like nothing. So let's go ahead and go get some B-roll using this gimbal, and we'll be back. All right, so right now we are vlogging using the gimbal, and I'm also using the 360X4 to go ahead and document my vlogging here to show you some behind the scenes of this gimbal being used in real life. I'm going down now to this, I don't know, beach, swamp. Yeah, we're gonna keep it right here. Let me go ahead and set this down. All right, so as I mentioned, we are now using this camera to sort of use it in what would be normal day-to-day scenario. So right now I am just walking around in this little step and also capturing myself. And overall, what I do like about it right off the bat is how lightweight this kit is. So again, this is an A7 IV with a 16-35 G master lens, and then of course the Weebill, the Cinepeer Weebill 3E. And this is so lightweight. And as you can see here on my 360 camera, it is quite responsive. So it is extremely responsive, and it's not struggling at all with this weight, which is kind of very, very cool. All right, so now that I am out in the field, let me go ahead and give you my overall impressions just using the gimbal before we get back to my house and in front of the computer and give you all the specs. So for starters, while using it out here today, as you see, I ride my e-bike a lot. And, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video while I was doing the unboxing, stabilization on cameras have been great. So for example, on my Sony cameras, on my GoPro, stabilization is good, but it's never as fluid as using a gimbal. Now, gimbals I usually don't carry when I'm going out and about to the field to do creative content because they're just so cumbersome. They're heavy
They're huge. And that's where I think this Weebill 3E Cinepeer comes into place and comes in so handy, because this is so lightweight. Now, when I sit down back at the desk and I go through all the specs, I'm going to tell you what the weight is. But this is as light as maybe, I don't know, like a soda, like a 20-ounce bottle of soda. And it is so cool. So once you go ahead and balance it, you don't have to do it again. You just have to kind of put it into the plate. I love how you can change from horizontal to portrait mode by using just the same hardware, by using the same thing right here. You just go ahead and flip as you need it. You don't need any additional accessories. And to me, the biggest selling point is that it is lightweight. It is something that's very convenient. It's not cumbersome. It's not adding a lot of stress. It's not adding a lot of workload to my creative flow. I was riding my bike today and I was able to shoot my friend, as you saw in some of the B-roll shots. And I was just riding the bike and holding this with one hand. And it has a full frame body on there, the Sony A7 IV, which I think is fantastic. It has a really great screen here and LCD that kind of help you go navigate through the menus. You can change mode, so you can go from an FPV perspective to pan and follow with such a breeze. And I think really convenient is the locking mechanism here, which I highlighted during the setup. It has the 3 axes are all locking, and it stays just like that. So I'm able to put it in my bag and just travel with it, and I really don't feel the weight on this. So overall, I think I'm impressed. I can't wait to go and talk to you throughout all the specs and tell you what the price is for this, because you're gonna be shocked when I tell you the price of this Zhiyun Weebill. I mean, I found it shocking when I went through the spec sheet. I actually looked it up twice, because I was wondering as I was testing it, like, how much is this gonna cost? I kind of didn't look at that before coming out and testing. I was just testing it, and then when I saw the price, I was shocked. But yeah, that's enough here out in the field. Let me go back to the desk and wrap this video up with all the specs. And I think this is gonna be a very hot seller for Zhiyun, because I think a lot of you will definitely love this. All right, so instead of sitting down in front of a computer at home while it's beautiful outside, I figured let me go ahead and take this video, my final conclusion, back outdoors, because it doesn't make sense to be indoors. And I went out and shot some more again with the Weebill 3E, and let me tell you, it's fantastic. But we already covered all the good things. Let me deep dive into specs and why I would recommend this Weebill. And I can't wait to tell you about the pricing. The pricing, I'm holding on to the end, because I was honestly just shocked when I saw the pricing. All right, so let's go through some benefits. Let's go through some specs. So first and foremost, why would I purchase this? I think that is a very important question to ask. Just why? Why would I purchase this? And the first and main reason why I would purchase this is because of its size. This gimbal is just so compact. It is unbelievable how compact it is. I mean, it is so easy to carry. It is so easy to set up. It doesn't add any additional load or kind of weight to my bag when I'm taking it, that I don't feel like I'm carrying this big gimbal that's adding a burden to the weight. I like to carry compact. I like to carry very concise as to what am I gonna be taking and using. And for that reason, that's why I generally don't carry with a gimbal. But this is so lightweight that it feels almost like a pack of A4 paper. Now, from a weight perspective, I want to go ahead and I jotted down some notes here. From a weight perspective, this weighs 2.23 pounds. 2.23 pounds. That is 110 grams. That is extremely light. So think about that. 100 grams. Some of the drones that we're flying are over 900 grams. This is 1,010 grams. 1,010 grams is how much this weighs, not 100 grams. Imagine a gimbal 100 grams, but 1,010 grams, that's fantastic. A very lightweight, just slightly over 2 pounds. That is the #1 best feature and reason why I will highly recommend this. The second reason why I recommend this gimbal is because you can switch from a landscape mode, just like I have here, to a horizontal mode. To a portrait mode. So you can switch from a landscape horizontal mode to a portrait vertical mode very easily just by using the same items here. All you got to do is just change this here, change this adapter. You mount this sideways like this, and then all of a sudden now you have vertical shooting on this. I'm not going to go ahead and do it because I still have to do some additional shots at this location that I'm at. But yeah, that simple. Or you use the same hardware, the same base plate, everything. You don't need anything extra. Everything comes in the box, and you can go from landscape to portrait. That is huge on a gimbal. A lot of us sometimes, we shoot for reels, we shoot for Instagram, we shoot for TikTok, and having a gimbal that can shoot vertically, natively, without adding any additional items, any additional load is fantastic. My third favorite feature by using this Weebill is that it has Bluetooth capability. So what is Bluetooth on a gimbal? Some of you may know, some of you may not, depending on how often you use gimbals. But for example, on some competitor gimbals, if I want to go ahead and control my camera, I actually have to plug in a USB-C. As you notice here in this gimbal, there is a record button, there's a mode button. The record button works on my Sony camera. It starts and stops the video recording just by pressing this button through Bluetooth. That is huge. No need to add a cable. And guess what? When I was balancing the gimbal, remember I told you that every time you add an accessory, it kind of tweaks that balancing? Well, yeah. You want to make sure that you that you balance with a cable if you're going to use a cable. But in this case, I don't need a cable because it works through Bluetooth, which is just fantastic. Now, this gimbal is capable of a Sling Mode 2.0. Now, for that, you do have to buy additional accessories. What Sling Mode 2.0 does is that it just like I said it, right? Sling mode, or just like the name of it. It allows you to carry the gimbal and distribute the weight evenly by adding another like arm here as like a sling. And that is pretty cool when you're carrying a heavy rig. But, when I think about what I'm going to be using this for, I'm going to be using it for run and gun shooting when I'm out and about and I want to carry a gimbal without having any additional burden or any additional heartaches about carrying a gimbal. So for that, I don't need a sling mode. Like if I'm going to use that sling mode accessory, then I'm going to go with a more heavy duty gimbal, even if it's like the crane from Zhiyun, right? Something that's going to carry the payload, something that's going to carry my monitor, etc. But for this is really for run and gun shooting. Now, another really cool feature is that we're going to get to pricing, but even with the pricing of this being so affordable, Zhiyun didn't cheap out. There is an LCD screen here that you can change modes, you can see, you can calibrate your motors, you can calibrate your motor strength, you can dial in so many different settings just by this little screen here. It's almost a 1-inch screen. I think it's 0.96, almost a 1-inch screen. And that is really convenient because you want to be able to see what you're doing, what you're changing. And sometimes having like an app functionality is pretty cool, but you don't always want to open your phone, check an app, connect to the app just to see what the gimbal is doing. So I'm glad that they did include a little screen here, which comes in extremely handy when changing any settings. Finally, I want to talk about the battery. So this has a 2650 milliamp hour battery inside here, and it charges relatively fast, but it lasts 16 hours is what is rated for. So you can get 16 hours of this gimbal carrying a full frame camera such as a Sony mirrorless camera. That is just mind-blowing how good these batteries have become and how the algorithm works so good to ensure that the motors are giving you the best output and you're not draining your battery so quickly. So that is a fantastic feature. 16 hours on a gimbal, like you're not shooting for 16 hours ever. Imagine just going to shoot after shoot multiple days and not having to worry to charge this bad boy up. And if you do have to charge, as I mentioned, it charges extremely fast, just right through USB-C, very easy. Now this Weebill here, this is the 3E. So if you're familiar with Zhiyun gimbals, then you might say, well, what's the difference between the 3E and the 3S? Well, the 3E is a more compact, affordable option, and they did remove some of the things that's not going to hinder your production quality. This gimbal right here, the 3E, is slated to carry a mirrorless camera with a 24-70 lens without any problem whatsoever. Looking at my notes here, I want to make sure I cover what are the key things that they removed from the 3S. So number one, the built-in microphone was removed and the integrated fill light has removed. However, the Type-C port for follow focus and video transmission, that also has been eliminated, but it leaves only one USB-C port for camera control port. The lens support and bracketing base have been removed from here. So, you know, like those bars, if you want to support the lens and that bracket, that has been removed, leaving this just quick release plate here, which I honestly prefer because I don't usually use all those added accessories. So that's pretty fantastic. The sling grip port that I mentioned has been retained. So if you do want to go ahead and buy that accessory and you want to buy sort of that sling arm, you can do so if you feel a need to use it on this gimbal. And then finally, it has Bluetooth, right? So Bluetooth it remained here with Bluetooth. They didn't eliminate Bluetooth, and that allows you to control the app wirelessly. I'm sorry, the camera wirelessly, which is really, really handy. And it doesn't then eliminate it does eliminate the need for USB-C ports. Now, I do want to take this time to put a comparison here between the Weebill 3E, which is this one that I have here, the 3S, which is the big brother to this, right? This is sort of like the newer version, but the more simplified version. And then a DJI Ronin RS3, which is the other gimbal that I've been talking about that I use. From a weight perspective, the 3E is 2.31 pounds, the 3S is 2.32 pounds, and the DJI RS3 is 2.8 pounds. So the DJI RS3 comes in with the most weight. From a battery perspective, which is the next important thing to consider when using a gimbal, the Weebill 3E will run for 16 hours, whereas the Weebill 3S will only run for 11.5 hours. So this is giving you more battery power, believe it or not. And then the Ronin RS3 is a whopping 12 hours. So 12 hours, this gives you 16 hours. And then from a charging perspective, as I mentioned, this charge is fast. This will go from 0 to 100% in 2 hours. The Ronin 3S will do the same, 2 hours. And the Weebill 3S will do the same at 2 hours. And the DJI RS3 will do it at 2.5. And then finally, let's get into pricing, the most important factor of this gimbal. This comes in at $249. That's right. $249 gets you the Zhiyun Cinepeer Weebill 3E. What a fantastic bargain for $250. $250, I think about those phone gimbals, which there's nothing wrong about it. But if you have a full frame professional camera or an APS-C professional camera, then nothing beats a professional gimbal such as this 3E. And then when we think about the competition, so the 3S is the competition to this, right? That is $319, so about $70 more expensive. And then when you think about the Ronin RS3, that is $469. So this is coming in at $249. What a bargain, a fantastic bargain. So that's the gimbal, that's the specs. Those are all the stats that I think you need to know in order to make a informative decision whether or not to buy this gimbal. I'm gonna end this video where I started, right? I would love to carry a gimbal, action cameras, even the Pocket 3, my Insta360 cameras, all great cameras, and they do great stabilization, but there's nothing as fluid as carrying one of these. This is a professional gimbal, and when you show up to a place like, today I'm at the park here on a Sunday shooting my family, everybody's looking at me. A few folks came up to me and asked me, hey, do I do videos professionally? Can I get your business card? That's the type of sort of attention that you want if you're doing, if you're creating videos and you want to make revenue out of it. Holding an action camera, holding a little Osmo Pocket, sure, it's going to get its job done. But I mean, it's not the same as this from that perception perspective and also from that fluid perspective. I think these provide the great results. For example, the Osmo Pocket 3, I love it. But when I'm shooting with the Osmo Pocket 3, I noticed that the Z-axis, because it's a small, lightweight camera, I can see every single bounce as I move. Like as I'm walking, you see that Z-axis moving. With this, although it's not 100% eliminated, you still like get maybe about 10% wobble that you can, you know, fix in post. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Being able to fix, you know, like tweaking your stabilization ever so slightly just by adding some stabilization because you're using a gimbal just like this. So as I said, I'm gonna end where I started. Action cameras are fantastic, right? But it's never gonna do the job of a gimbal such as this. These motors are extremely powerful. It's holding my camera, as I mentioned many different times here, without any hesitation. And then most importantly, this is extremely lightweight. I can just put this in my bag and not even worry about carrying a gimbal. Like I don't worry about taking this anywhere. I don't stress out about taking yet another device, another accessory in my camera bag. This is going to live in my camera bag. And for $249, I think it should live in your camera bag as well. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that it was informative. Let me know what questions you may have. Thank you to Zhiyun for the partnership and sending me this in advance before its release date. And yeah, this is a great product. Go ahead and check it out. And until next time, peace.